how do you feel about when you go to shows recording some of the music, or when people attend your show, people recording some of the music?
Oh, I don't care. I don't care at all. I mean, you know, it never hurt the Grateful Dead. Grateful Dead used to encourage people to record their shows, and they just, you know, helped them tremendously. So I don't think it's going to hurt us.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the main thing back in the day was that people were worried about, you know, bootlegs, people pressing up bootlegs, which was the other thing I was going to say about the old way and how we are now. It's like that you can tell people that have been through or old enough to remember that, you know, I mean, vinyl's great, and I'm glad that people are valuing recorded music through collecting vinyl. But at the same time, I was so glad when the vinyl era had gone away, because I hated the crackles and the pops and the and you know, a vinyl that was being destroyed as each time you were listening to it. So, you know, whatever, like, once again, I don't want to down people that are into collecting it, because it's great that they're valuing recorded music nowadays.
It is kind of nice.
Music.
I don't know. This is nice.
But no, it's great. It's awesome. But, you know, it's just that it's like, yeah. So, but, yeah, sorry.
I used to like.
No.
I used to like to record my favorite bands, like with a cassette machine, but you know, and just make my own private bootlegs. Those were fun. So I guess that's what people are doing with their phones, filming you. But you know, who knows if they ever watch it again? I assume that people don't ever watch that footage.
Or they put it up on social, or they put it up on social media and YouTube, and that's just like it's the new version of word of mouth, and it's, you know, it's faster, and you know, I mean, I think that the sound quality is usually not is rough, but I think the people that are viewing those kinds of clips take that into account. They've grown accustomed to that, so it doesn't,
the lo-fi aspect.
I don't feel misrepresented by it.
But what we find, the reason I ask is I actually do. I would never record a whole show, but I like to record a little bit of some of the songs, because I like to go back and listen to it and kind of relive it. But I've heard artists say also, you know, then you're not in the moment. So it's you're kind of torn between, I mean, I feel like I'm in the moment.
Yeah, well, it's up to you. You know, you are you know, you came to receive the show however you want. You know, I don't understand some of these artists who flip out with people filming them. You know, who cares? I mean, really, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not, artists have egos. And I think that that a lot of that stems from, like, when you're on stage and you're doing your thing, you're trying hard to make it as like at least what we do, some kind of, you know, big extravagant moment, and then you as from the artist perspective, you perceive it in this like kind of way that's hard to describe, and then if you see it back on someone's little iPhone, it feels like, oh, that's what it was like.
Yeah,
oh,
it's devastating.
yeah, it's on the ego.
Yeah,
but then sorry. You have the fan. So we have put clips from some of our favorite artists and artists that are relevant to this podcast on our YouTube channel, just stuff that we have shot, short clips. Mm-hmm. And we oftentimes have people asking, you know, do you have any more? If they don't get to go to the show, they can watch these clips and they're grateful for it. But I know, you know, the artists, it's hard. It's sometimes it's a conundrum for us.
Yeah, I personally don't care. We come from the time when we would do shows, and the agreement would be the people with photo passes could only shoot the first 3 songs, because after that you're disgusting and sweaty. But you know, like at this point, you know,
that's
none
why
of that stuff
I never
is
knew
relevant
that
anymore, unless you're going to sit there and just be so obsessed with it. I think it's great that people are filmed, because I mean, you know, after 20 years, you know, that if you still have that little piece of history, it's great. You don't care so much that doesn't sound like up to par.
Yeah. Or I try to not care. I usually disengage because I do feel like I don't want to get into a controlling place about it, because that's a recipe for insanity. And to Jeff's comment, I wake up disgusting. So,
Oh.
like 10 songs into the set is when we kind of really get warmed up and we're hot and sweaty and like dripping. And
That's rock and roll.
kind of like the part that I want people to, if anything, if I can't cobble together, if I can't orchestrate my own sort of Lady Gaga filmed in like 5 HD cameras with high definition, audio, then I'd rather have people at least see it in its most visceral form, if anything, so I'm down for the sweaty and once again disgusting, as Jeff put it.
Okay, so conversely, as you mentioned at the Lodge Room, it was 45 years ago that you played Hollywood Park. The Linda Lindas got, because they were kids, they had their viral moment, and they're starting to blow up. They're playing, they're opening up for the Rolling Stones, they're opening up for Green Day. When I was hearing these things, I'm like, this should have happened to Red Cross. They should have had their Hollywood Park that could have been filmed because,
Well, to us,
Jeff was always.
well, I mean,
to
us, it was like a viral moment because after that, the idea of playing nightclubs in Hollywood and actually making records, that was as far-fetched as opening for the Rolling Stones for us at the time. So, we did have the viral moments of those days were a little bit smaller, but they were huge deals.
A lot smaller.
Yeah.
It's a different scale, but I would say that we went punk viral.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Have you talked with the Linda Lindas? Can you? I mean, because it's similar. Like your stories are matching up a little bit.
Yeah,
here.
well, we've known them for quite a while, and one of their dads, I think I've sort of. Martin had a fanzine called Giant Robot that I was familiar with back in the 90s. And and there, and those girls have really been sort of submerged in a bath of punk rock history and underground music. And so they when they did their Amoeba, what's in your bag clip 2 years ago or whatever, we got name checked, and and it's so cool and so sweet. And it's funny, they in fact, one of them, even because Jeff and I, one of the long going debates in our band is our decision to have 2 D's on the word red in our name. Yeah, and like I like a crazy person always hold on to that as like a frustrating bone of contention. And one of the girls, Eloise, said that she thought that the 2 in her "What's in My Bag" thing, she said that she thought the 2 D's was just really cool. And Jeff made a point in like 2023 of saying, "Look at this, she thinks it's cool."
Well, you have to listen to a fan. That's what I relate to those girls on that level. They're super hyper rock and roll fans, and that's what we have in common. Still after all these years, and when we started, we were even probably younger than they are now. We were fans, but we never lost it. So it's. I think it would be absolutely horrible to be in a band and to do the things that we do if you weren't a fan. Like if you just did it because it was like your job and you were disconnected from it, I think it would be like worse than laying asphalt on a highway in the summertime.
I wish we could control for that, do a study on that and figure that out scientifically if it is worse. I don't know how we would control.
Well, think about bands that get back together for their oldies tour or something, and maybe they've all moved on and they're not really into it anymore, but they were given an offer they couldn't refuse. And maybe be
like
torture.
Oasis or something, like the band Oasis, let's say that.
I can't speak for those guys. Who knows what's going through their minds? But it's just maybe a group more like the Fix or Thompson Twins, or not quite Oasis stature.